And I saw some gentleman in the back, he's wearing a CB shirt. Did you serve in the Seabees?
Yes, sir.
You did?
Yes, sir.
Well, any other Seabees here? Good for you. You too? It's a remarkable It's a remarkable group. I never knew what the Seabees were till I was in World War II. So let me tell you a story. The Seabees and others changed the entire course of my life. I've been very, very lucky as a broadcaster. In fact, I'm lucky still to be here broadcasting in 94, 95 in November. I went to Duke University, graduated, soon became a naval officer. I was sent by the Navy to the Harvard University to learn how to deal with shipboard routine. And by that I mean all the rigors and the resolutions and the things you had to learn to do things correctly as the UN ships. But when I went overseas to the Solomon Islands, then I was an ensign, I later became a lieutenant. When I went overseas, I found out that everything they had taught me at Harvard about shipboard routine had no bearing whatsoever to life in advanced space. There was nothing in the Navy manuals that talked about it. It was brand new. What was an advanced space? The Seabees going into the Solomon Islands and beneath them had to clear out a jungle area with dense trees, brush, constant rain, heat, no place to actually live, and remake the entire island into a landing base for airplanes which would come in with the Marine troops to go further north. We were at the furthest point up toward Japan. And starting from scratch, all the supplies that I had were buried in the mud. Requisitions I was supposed to make out, I couldn't find. All we ate was food out of wooden packages, dried up stuff. There was no milk, no meat, no vegetables, just what we did to live on. It was sort of tough living. So I asked a man who was a good cameraman, photographer, to take pictures of before and after. And we took the pictures of what it was before and what it became after the Seabees went to work and made it a living place and a place for the troops to come in. And I decided to write a book about how the Navy should redo all their rules and regulations. And I sold it off, sent the book off with my pictures to Washington, to anybody who might be interested in using this to change the Navy regulations. And I waited to see what would happen. I thought maybe somebody would just throw it away and put it in the files. Well, maybe they write to me and say, how does this young guy think he's going to tell the Navy how to run the war? I might be court-martialed for my impudence. Well, maybe they'll like it and do something about it. And then came a letter ordering me back to the nation's capital. My book would be published. I'd be put in charge of the regulations. I'd write the new regulations for the Navy. And I'd be in charge of working on a movie, and in charge also of helping to make all the compartment work. And that's how I got back to Washington, D.C., which was a turning point in my life, and it still is. Because before going overseas, I met a Navy nurse in Camp Perry, Jane Louise Hoy, and at first sight, I was so in love that I arranged to get to the Navy quarters to meet her and propose to her right away. She's been my wife for over 70 years and really is the one who runs our family. And being a sportscaster, I happen to set a record. 250 games I did every year. Baseball, football, basketball, hockey, horse show, dog show, women's sports, track meets, boxing. I did them all. I'm the only broadcaster who has broadcast the championships of all the major sports, the World Series, the NFL Championship, the Stanley Cup, and the NBA Championships. I've been very lucky in the awards. So I consider myself an extremely lucky person. My greatest achievement is marrying my wife. My greatest joy has been my family. We're all stars in their own right. When I found not only grandchildren, but great-grandchildren. And if it hadn't been for my Navy experiences, often those very lucky ones, we came back to the right spot in Washington, where I started my career as their first television announcer. I'm very indebted to the Seabees. Thankful the Navy brought me back alive. Thankful that I've had the career that I've had. And grateful to all the people around me who've been so nice to me to make it all happen. I'm still enjoying every day of it. And it's especially nice to get this little citation from you. And it's very nice to go with the people that show up. Loneliness is something that I dread. I dreaded it when I was on the road doing ball games. I dreaded it during the war service. There's always that fear that you may not get back home safe. That's a constant fear. We were right there in the war zone. And there's also that fear that if you're in love, as I was at that time, that maybe when you come back, you'll be able to walk or run, or maybe you won't get back at all. Or maybe Jane would find somebody else in the meanwhile and said, I just can't wait any longer to get married and start a family. The constancy of loneliness can be very much of a disease. You just can't get rid of it. Because there's nothing you can do about it. Because the Army and Navy says, stay where you are. I got back just by writing a book. I was lucky. So I feel very indebted to the God that looked over me. Somehow I felt blessed my whole life. But you'll feel in this great book that Big Bill Ragno did, this wonderful story that you told. Loneliness is something that words bring around. The documentary shows how bad it can be. But he went out to follow the footsteps, put together a prize-winning documentary. I congratulate him. It's a wonderful work of art, and I think you'll enjoy seeing it. At the same time, you'll see the message that he tries to bring over. And thank you so much for having me talk to you.